Let's go, girl.
Just tell me that I can and show you things that you couldn't believe.
Yo, let's go. It's Women Talking Football, WTF for short, of course, not to be confused with WFT. We are the women, a trio of producers here at Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Dave Campbell's Texan Live, talking football around the Lone Star State every Wednesday at noon. My name is Mallory Hartley. I'm the associate producer here, Dave Campbell's Texas Football, and sitting to my left, it's the executive producer of this place, Miss Ashley Pickle.
Howdy, folks.
And making sure you can hear us, turning the dials, it's Miss Vianey Moreno, associate producer. Hey, girl. Your mic is off.
Hello.
Now your mic is on.
Great start.
Welcome to technology.
Welcome to technology. Really packed show today. It's episode 79 of Women Talking Football. Just to pull back the curtain here a little bit, we are actually pre-recording this episode. It is Thursday, October 10th, so last Thursday.
Yeah, so when we talk about rankings, it won't be up to date.
Yes,
but
correct.
The teams are still the same.
The teams are still the same. I don't think much is going to change this week. But of course, we're not going to be starting off this episode with Spotlight Games because we are pre-recording this episode. But still a packed show nonetheless. We have a lot to get to. We're going to be talking about Hill Country region. And then, of course, we're going to be going down and talking about the big Austin region. And to help us do so, we actually have her on the line right now. It is Miss Ann Parker Coleman, sports reporter and anchor down there at KVUE. Hey, Ann Parker, good to talk to you, and thanks for joining Women Talking Football.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, obviously, you know, we love to spotlight women reporters here on Women Talking Football. So kind of give us your elevator pitch. Who are you? How did you get to Austin? And how are you liking it so far?
Yeah, loving Austin. I am actually I'll take it all the way back. I'm from a really small town in Southern Virginia, Martinsville, Virginia. The only people who are going to know where that is NASCAR fans. We have a NASCAR racetrack in my hometown. But I went to the University of Virginia, and then I spent the past 3 years reporting for the local CBS affiliate in Charlottesville. Worked my way up to sports director there, you know, covering my alma mater, covering the Who's, and it was amazing. And, you know, my contract was coming up, and I said, let me put on my cowboy boots and go to Texas. So here I am. Jeff and Corey were, you know, nice and maybe crazy enough to hire somebody not from Texas and who hadn't been reporting on Texas. But, you know, during my interview, I had a cowboy hat in the background. I was like, Jeff, that could be me in Texas if you hire me. And
you're working with a good group of people, let me tell you.
You're in good hands there with Jeff and Corey. I can tell you that right now.
Oh, don't worry. Every time I'm walking to DKR with Corey, I mean, I've never felt less popular in my life. People are coming up to us, Corey, oh my God, I love you from Twitter. Oh my gosh, I love you on KVUE. You're the best. And I'm like, oh, I'm Ann Parker. I know I'm new here, but I'm turning a bone. Ouch.
That sounds pretty
on brand. They love them.
Absolutely. So do we. Well, let's go ahead and start off with the big dogs here, okay? Obviously, Lake Travis and Austin Westlake, two of the big powerhouses down there in the Austin area, of course, kind of seem to be kind of on the same level this year, and they'll, of course, get to play here in a couple weeks. I think October 25th is that date. Which one of those teams do you think, in your opinion, has that one factor that could push them over the edge this year to beat the other?
Yeah, you guys really put me on the hot seat from the start with that one. Gosh, that is a toss-up. I almost want to ride the fence on that because they're both so good. If I had to give the edge to one team, I'm gonna go Westlake. I really like Reese Wise, and you know, I think the difference between them and Lake Travis, you know, you're probably looking for an X factor to be a player. I'm going to go with their loss to Atascocita. I mean, having a 44 regular season win streak snaps, like that is a wake up call. And I think from there on out, Westlake is, you know, kind of getting it together a little bit more.
Yeah, the machine suddenly gets online when you take a team like that who's not used to catching L's, and then they remember a little bit of what that pain is like. So another team that's not used to catching L's, we'll take you off the hot seat a little bit here, and let's talk about let's go down to 4A Division 1, the Austin LBJ Jaguars. We saw them in a state championship a couple of years ago. It seems like they might be getting back up to that same caliber of a team. We anticipate them to blow through district. When you take a look at Region 4 when it comes to playoffs, who do you think could give them the most fits?
You got to go Wimberley on this one. And, they've already faced each other. LBJ did come out on top, but that was a dogfight kind of until the end there. I think LBJ honestly has, obviously going to be an easier path this year now that they're kind of back playing down where they belong. But I would say Wimberley, when we had that matchup as our game of the week, we knew that was a game that we probably shouldn't be seeing until late November. And I wouldn't be surprised if we did see that head-to-head again in playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Now, let's talk small school ball here for a second. Obviously, I think one of the most popular answers to this question is probably going to be Columbus. What is some of those smaller schools that you think could potentially make a deep run here come playoff time?
Again, from a small town, I graduated with 32 kids, so every school here is a big school to me.
That's funny.
So this might not be the best answer, but just kind of looking outside of that Class 6A, I would say Liberty Hill. They've gotten off to a pretty good start, and I mean, nobody wants to face that slot T offense in November and December, so I would go them.
All right, and final one here for you, Ann Parker. If you had to take a look at the Austin area as a whole and say there is a certain position group, may that be quarterbacks, offensive line, you get the gist. If you had to say Austin, Texas hangs its hat on this position, which one of those positions would you say?
One that came to mind for me, it's got to be running back. You can name as many people as you want. I feel like Jack Tyndall from Tripping Springs. I'm new here. He is not. I know that he's been around for a long time. We can go back to LBJ, and Caleb Crenshaw is having himself a really good season too. Jack Pitchford. I mean, you look up and down these rosters and it feels like running back is one of the most solid positions here.
She is Miss Ann Parker Coleman, sports reporter and anchor at KVUE. Ann Parker, thanks so much for hopping on with us today. Welcome to Texas, and tell Corey and Jeff we said hi down there.
Of course, that's my main job. I will. Thank you guys so much for having me on.
Thanks, Ann Parker. Really good insight from her. Really, really good Austin insight.
Yeah, it's one of those things. People say, I'm not from Texas, but I got here as fast as I could.
Oh, yeah. I like
that.
I like that she said she put on her boots real quickly just to come down here. And I was like, yep, that seems about right. I love that.
Jeff and Corey they're genuinely good people. I feel bad for her when she was like, I just walk around and everyone wants to talk to them. I was like,
oh, yeah.
Honestly, if I walk around with them, if Matt Stepp walks around with them, people are still going to be going, Corey!
Oh, yeah. 100% of the time. Does she have a Twitter? I was going to plug that.
Yes, she sure does.
I think I've seen her, I think I searched her like yesterday or something like that.
It's at Anne, A-N-N-E. There's an E on
yeah.
it. Parker Cole 1, all lowercase, Ann
Okay.
Parker Cole 1. Make sure to add that E on the end of Ann.
Yes. Make sure to follow her on Twitter to keep up with all things Austin football. I'm sure she probably covers Texas too.
Oh, yeah.
I would assume her and Corey, of course, both. But I wonder if she'll be up here for Red River. I didn't ask her that. I should have, but I figured that maybe she would be.
Well, it's fine because technically this show is pre-recorded.
Yeah, well, I guess that's true. Yeah, I didn't even think about that anyways. But okay. Anyways, well, you just heard Ann Parker's thoughts on the Austin region. We'll go ahead and give you ours, starting with ranked teams in the Austin region. And let's start off with the big dogs in 6A. It's number 7, Lake Travis, and their district bunkmates, number 12, Austin Westlake. Starting off with Lake Travis, 5-0 start to the season with a pretty good win over Rockwall.
That one's hard.
That's hard to say. That's a tongue twister to say. I think quarterback Chasta Ditta has looked really great this season. That win over Rockwall, 45-42, really, really gritty win. I don't really know what to make of Lake Travis this year. I think that was a very, very good win. I don't know necessarily if that would have been the same outcome if, of course, Landon Locke, Rockwall's star quarterback, wouldn't have gotten hurt in that third quarter. Nonetheless, they did pull out the win, so I think that really says a lot about how good Lake Travis is and can really finish out those games there. They still have yet to play, of course, Dripping Springs and Austin Westlake, which is kind of going to be a telltale of this team. They have no problem putting up points. And that's a large part due to their quarterback, Chasten Dida. But the question, I think, is definitely going to be on that defensive side
100%
of the ball. They held their opponents to 13 points on average last season. They've already given up a lot more, of course, to Rockwall. They gave up 42 points and 20 to Midland Legacy. So I think really the key this year is going to be, how is that defense going to step up?
Yeah, and I think when this airs next Wednesday, technically this Wednesday, if you're watching it right now, they have Dripping Springs that Friday. And I think that is going to be because the Dripping Springs offense can put up points as well. So we've already seen it against Rockwall. I would anticipate that game mirroring that Rockwall game pretty heavily. But yeah, it was the giving up the 20 plus points to Midland Legacy that made me go, okay, I knew we graduated a lot I knew that Lake Travis graduated a lot at defense.
Yeah.
But they're going to have to step that up. And I think that the question that you had asked Ann Parker about where the difference comes down to, for me, it is that I think that the Westlake defensive line will be able to have their way with that Lake Travis offensive line.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that will be the difference of the game.
Yeah, that's definitely the game that I have circled on my calendar, is that is October 25th when those two meet. But for Westlake, obviously third year under the leadership there of Tony Salazar. They're 4-1 on the season, like with Ann Parker said. 18-point loss to Atascocita at home. That was Westlake's first home loss in like 6 years, which is insane, and then their first regular season loss since 2018. I like this team a lot. I really do. I don't think they're as strong as they were last season, if I had to say it. Obviously your eyes go to the trenches. I think they're really strong in the trenches, led by Maddox Flint, Connor Vasick, and Jared Reisinger there. Reese Weiss, obviously a really strong quarterback. I'll talk more about him and players to watch. But really, regular season is just not the problem for Westlake.
No.
It never has been. It's always been the daunting Galena Park North Shore.
Yeah.
At least the last 2 years, because North Shore has knocked them out of the playoffs for the last 2 years. So it'll be interesting. That game is obviously going to decide the district title for those two teams. District 26, 6A down there in the Austin area. But I would have to agree with Ann Parker that I think Austin Westlake has the upper hand in that game.
Yeah, I agree very much. All right, moving down now to 5A Division II. It is the Panthers of Liberty Hill coming in at number 7 out of District 11, 5A D2. And Kent Walker and the Liberty Hill Panthers are a good football team. Alert the press, like when have we ever seen this before? So they're 4-1 on the season. They did lose to Cibolo Steel, which is a state-ranked 6A team. So they ended up losing to Steel. The rest of their schedule has been fairly easy walking. Rouse, El Paso, Eastlake, and Connolly and Austin Navarro. So they're going to blow through their district as well. I think the biggest challenges starts to come in the playoffs when you look at the teams in Region 4 out of a potential Alamo Heights at Corpus Christi Miller. And then if you were to pair them up and say, okay, they might end up making it to the state championship, you're looking at maybe, well, that doesn't even really matter at this point. But the biggest thing that to keep of note is that typically when we're talking about Liberty Hill, we would talk about the playoff contentions and we would go, oh, they're going to have a date with a team like Port Neches Groves in the state semifinal. That is no longer the case. So UIL realignment comes out. Liberty Hill gets bumped up to Region 3, and we're going, okay, now this is tasty. Because usually Liberty Hill destroys Region 4. Destroys Region 4. And it's like we won't see Liberty Hill go up against a worthy opponent of their level of play until we get to the state semifinals. And then we started looking, we're like, well, wait a minute, where's P&G? Well, P&G gets moved over to Region 2, which means they're now region bunkmates with South Oak Cliff, the team that they've played the past 2 years in the state championship.
Yeah.
So that will all but assuredly be a regional final game, while meanwhile Liberty Hill is cruising through
Region 3.
In Region 3 with teams like now Richmond Randall, maybe Fort Bend Marshall, maybe But that's speed on speed, and Liberty Hill's going to be able to beat you with it.
Yeah.
So I did want to make note that their quarterback, Judah Fried, is he's got a 54.5 completion rate this season.
Wow, that rocks.
Do you want to know how many passes that is? He is 6 for 11.
Okay.
Which I was like, I saw 54%, and I was like, oh man, that's crazy. I was like, I bet he has like
They don't throw the
3
ball.
throws, but the
They
slot
don't.
T is operating. The one thing though that can get them is their defense is meh. They've allowed 49 points, 38 points, 35 points, but it's Liberty Hill. They're just going to continue to run the ball up your throat. So if you're going up against a team that can't really score all that well, they're absolutely going to beat you. If you get into a shootout, they don't mind.
Also, it's just really hard to play the slot T. Like,
They run it
confuses the
to
heck
perfection.
out of, and that's another thing. Like, they just run it very, very well,
Yeah.
and that just confuses the heck out of you. Like, when you're watching it, like, it makes your brain hurt. I don't know where the ball
Liberty Hill
is.
does make my brain hurt. You are correct.
Yes.
So there you go.
And that
Number
too.
7 in 5A Division 2, the Liberty Hill Panthers.
Let's move on down to 4A Division 1. Welcome back. It's number 2, Austin LBJ, under the new leadership there with John Rules at the helm after taking over for Jamal Fenner, who is now the director of high school relations at the University of Texas.
Yes.
And he had a 49-13 record in high school, which is awesome. Jamal Fenner. So obviously taking over for a legend there. If you remember, back in 2021, Austin LBJ made it to the state championships, and they played Stephenville, the 4A Division 1 state championships. That next year, of course, was a realignment year. They turned in 5A Division 2 numbers, so naturally they get bumped up to 5A Division 2. They did okay in 5A Division 2. Definitely took a step back.
Right.
They went 9-3 in 2022, 8-3 in 2023. Obviously not terrible,
No.
but still a winning season, 2 winning seasons back to back.
Mm-hmm.
But you're playing bigger teams.
On top of the fact that they actually, I believe, opted to play in 5A Division
Yes.
2 because Austin LBJ, an inner city program, didn't want to have to spend the money to travel because the 4A Division 1 teams are a lot further spread apart than the teams that they could play in 5A Division 2. So they have very small numbers compared to, they're a small 4A Division 1 school.
Yeah.
So
they
it's
opted up to play 5A Division 2. Okay. Well, now obviously realignment year, they are back in 4A Division 1.
Which bodes well.
Placed in a very favorable district. They're off to a 5-0 start with big wins, huge wins over Wimberley, and then Parish Episcopal, the private school down there, or I guess up here, the powerhouse of Dallas. QB Allie Scott is playing super, super well with running back Caleb Crenshaw by his side. Very, very electric duo, and have been doing super well in the first half of the regular season. And then on defense, I'm going to talk a little bit about him later, but safety Raheem Riley has been a game changer for this Austin LBJ defense. The good thing about this team is that they have been tested very, very early on. I think that Wimberley squad tested them well. That was a final score of 27-16, so very, very close. And then they only beat Dallas Parish Episcopal by 1 point. So this team has been tested, which is good because the district itself is not super challenging for them.
Correct.
They should win district.
Oh, yeah, by far.
District 13, 4A Division 1. Obviously, I think they're the favorites coming out of Region 4 down there. It's just a matter of fact, can they get back to AT&T Stadium in December?
Moving on now to 4A Division 2, it is the number 8th ranked Wimberley Texan. Doug Warren has his squad operating again. Let me preface this with they're 3-2 on the season. So they lost to Austin LBJ. We just talked about that. And then they lost back-to-back at Lampasas in week 4. This is a Wimberley ball club that has had the injury bug abound in it, specifically on the lines. A lot of offensive linemen getting hurt, a couple of skill players getting hurt. So they have had to, which they always do, rely on quarterback Cody Stover. He is the dual threat monster down there. He has been for years now. But he needs a little bit of help. He already wears the cape darn near every week. If you don't have someone that can block for him, that is an issue. So my caveat with this Wimberley team is they're incredibly talented. They're very skilled. Doug Warren runs a very disciplined ball club. Exceptional. They really are a good team. they have to stay healthy, because you take a look at 4A Division II Region 4, and typically we pencil in Wimberley as one of the top teams. We are still doing that, but I think Cuero's early returns that didn't look well in the early part of the season, they seem to be getting into mid-season form. And then the big one that I would think that more people need to recognize if you're not necessarily a statewide football fan, Sinton. Sinton and Cuero are both in District 15. Those are two incredibly good teams that would likely give the most fits to a team in Wimberley. I think Geronimo Navarro's down. They already beat them. No one to really worry about in District 16. Maybe Port Isabel, but I don't think so. And then District 14, really no one to worry about either. So it's going to be District 15 with Cuero and Sinton. They'll beat each other up, and then we'll see who is able to prevail. But I think that Wimberley and the winner of that game will definitely go on. But yeah, they got to stay healthy. That's the biggest thing. They have got to get up to health and then stay healthy. And if they do that, they can make it far.
Yeah. Well, and that just kind of comes with playing a tough non-district schedule too.
100%.
You've got to expect those injuries, but honestly, in the long run, it will help you if you can, get back up to full health. Moving on down to 3A Division 1, the number 1 Columbus Cardinals. Ever heard of them? Schobel, ring a bell?
How about Schobel, little Schobel, big Schobel, and
Cousin Schobel.
Cousin Schobel.
Yeah, no, lots
Dog
of Schobels.
They better refer, their dog's name better be Schobel.
I was literally about you took it right out of my mouth.
I got you,
If I
B.
have a dog, yeah.
Yeah, this Coach Matt Schobel there has this squad operating, haven't even missed a beat. 6-0 on the season's massive wins over Cuero, LaGrange, Madisonville, Belleville. They're beating teams by 30-plus points.
I know some of those are like teams multi-classification or multi-divisions ahead of them.
Yeah, they're showing absolutely no weakness, no mercy to any of these teams that they have played so far. The closest game they have played this season was against Belleville, and they won by 2 scores. And that's punching up a classification. This team is it's crazy to see, like, this team. I mean,
their lines are insane.
We
don't give enough credit to the secondary.
Secondary's insane. This team is operating like a total machine right now.
They're so fun to watch.
Talk about
a team I could just sit there and watch highlights of over all day as I get a call from my mother. Mom,
don't you know we're pre-recording WTF?
Don't you know that we're pre-recording?
3:07 on a Thursday for next week.
God,
how
Trish,
dare
get it together.
Trish. Gosh, how dare
Love
Trish.
you, Mom.
Should have brought her on.
I know, right? You want to talk Columbus football?
She can go, who?
Correct.
I could say Grayson Rigdon, and I think she would know that name.
Oh, yeah. Everybody in the state knows Grayson Rigdon.
No,
And
she would
I'll
actually
talk
know
about him a
Columbus. She
little bit
watches
later.
the show every single week.
Yeah,
So
she definitely would
I didn't
know
give
Columbus.
Trish enough credit. I'm sorry, Trish.
No.
Anyway.
Give Trish credit.
Hashtag give Trish credit. Yeah, this team is really stinking good on firing on all cylinders right now. The game I have circled on my schedule is their district title against Hitchcock.
Yeah.
10-25.
Inject that in my veins.
This is going to be.
Was that week 10? Dude, week 10 is full of bangers.
This
I don't
is the
know
Super
if you've,
Bowl.
I don't know if you've looked at week 10.
This might. Okay, this is week 7, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Week 7, week 8, week 9, October 25th. Because remember, we're a year late. Or
do
we're
they have a bye week or a bye week in there somewhere though?
Yeah, they have a bye week. This week actually. Yeah, they have a bye week this week. So
nice.
But anyways, I think so. Yeah, they have a bye week this week. They play Yoakum next week. But that's definitely the game I have circled on my calendar, because you can say the same thing about Hitchcock as that we're saying about Columbus right now. They've been tested very early. Hitchcock has 1 loss on the season to Houston Legacy, I believe, which is a very loaded team with prospects. But that game it could honestly be for like the 3A Division 1 like state championship, like I know it won't be obviously because they're in the same district and everything, but it'll feel that way because they are 2 of obviously the best teams in 3A Division 1.
No, that one's going to be a banger. On to 3A Division 2. It is the 4th-ranked Lexington Eagles out of District 13, 3A Division 2. Kirk Mule's squad is absolutely electrifying. 6-0 on the season with wins over Marlin, the Swole Bees of Little River, Rockdale, Groesbeck, the Goats. By the way, playing the Swole Bees and the Goats all in one, impressive.
That's an elite mascot mascot matchup.
Yes. Hearn and Caldwell. District play will likely be decided against Thrall, and the computer has Lexington favored by 32 points. So that is to say Lexington should make their way through district without any problem. Here's where I get excited. Region 4, if I had to guess, will likely come back down to a rematch of them and aforementioned Poth, who is the third-ranked team. So that's out of District 15. So that one should be incredibly excited for Region 4. Noah Wright-Harris is the bell cow for this Eagles squad. He's averaging over 117 yards on the ground. They are outscoring opponents 292 to 67. This defense is
Really
darn
good.
Really, really good. Their middle linebacker, Zach Carter, is a beast. Their cornerback, Lincoln Bryan, he has the secondary looking and operating on all cylinders. Keep an eye out for Lexington. They're not just a district/regional contender. I think they could be a state contender.
Yeah, I think so too. So there you go. There's some ranked teams in the Austin region there. Should we get to players to watch?
Players to watch. Cruton.
Let's talk some Cruton, shall we? I just want to preface this. I'm sorry if I don't pick you. There's a lot of really talented players in the Austin region.
It's
but
at
I had
Mallory Hartley on Twitter if you want to complain.
I had to lower the list down because we'd be here for 8 years, and it's already 3:11 on a Thursday, and I have a game to get to tonight, so...
What is up with the sass, Fiona? Do you feel it from in there?
Slacker.
I'm trying to get hyped for Cruton, and she's just berating me with sass.
Anyways.
Let us know, though, if we didn't pick you.
At Mallory Hartley on Twitter. All complaints, any complaint about this show, at Mallory Hartley on Twitter.
I take that to heart, too. I feel really bad. Ish usually posts these on Instagram, the graphics, and sometimes, like, some of the players in that same region that I didn't talk about will, like, put the writing down emoji, like the taking notes, and I'm like, I'm sorry. I wish I could talk about all of you. But then sometimes... when I do talk about them, they retweet my stuff. Like Xavier Barnett.
I was to say, and I don't know if you saw it last night, Ty Purcell from Bushland, and then the quarterback did as well. Yeah,
that's really exciting. So we like when you interact with our stuff in a nice way.
At Mallory Hartley for all complaints.
Stuff makes me sad. But anyways, let's go ahead and dive right into it. Starting off with Austin Westlake quarterback. 2026 quarterback Reese Weiss, the leader of this offense, I would say. One of his best attributes, and I've talked to Powers about this because we have talked about Austin Westlake on Heart and Hustle. That was one of the teams that we talked about early on in this season. But one of his best attributes as a passer is his accuracy. When you watch it, he just drops it right in the basket almost every single time. Can turn all of his weapons around him into deep threats because of how consistent and accurate his arm talent is. He can also make plays with his legs too, which is a tribute to how athletic he is. He had tremendous poise as a sophomore and earned him District Newcomer of the Year. And now he's a year older, and he's leading the Westlake team that's filled with talent. I mean, I could go on and on. Linebacker Elliot Shaper. I named a couple of the offensive linemen and defensive linemen earlier that have really made a huge impact for this Westlake squad. But lots of talent on here. Just keep your eye on Austin Westlake 2026 quarterback Reese Weiss. He still has another year to go. He's uncommitted right now, but holds offers from programs like Texas Tech, SMU, Oklahoma State, and Houston.
Go Cougs.
Go Cougs. Moving on down. This is a DCTF favorite. This next guy.
Yeah, Ed
Small. Austin Anderson 2025
Shout
wide
out
receiver. Ed Small. Yeah.
LP is a graduate. My father is a graduate of Austin Anderson.
That's right.
And he's a big, small guy. Get it?
Big. Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. That was a good one. That was a good one. I think Powers is a really big fan of him too. Powers and Carter are both big fans of Ed Small.
Ish loves Ed Small.
Ish is big into Ed Small too. But it's funny too because when you look at Ed Small, right? If you know absolutely nothing about this team, right? And you look at Ed Small, but you're a casual football fan, you would think, okay, that dude's got to be maybe a linebacker, maybe a running back because of his stature and his frame. Boy. He's 5'10", 205 pounds. A wide receiver that's 5'10", 205 pounds. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Don't let them tell you can't do something.
No, that's awesome.
Believe in your dreams, children.
Correct.
Ed Small is the poster boy for that.
And I love it because he brings such a different kind of game to the wide receiver position for this team. Like I said, 5'10", 205 pounds. He's built like a linebacker or a running back.
Or a Mack truck.
A literal truck. It is not easy to bring him down when he's got the ball. He's got some of the strongest hands in the entire state. He catches almost everything in his direction. He is an absolute stud for this Austin Anderson team.
Yeah.
He's got a great quarterback, too, that's throwing to him, Max Gerlich. I don't know how to, I think it's Max Gerlich. But he's UTSA commit, really, really strong quarterback there for Austin Anderson. He was actually committed to play baseball at the University of Texas back in 2022 before he realized that, like, oh, I'm probably better at football, which he's very good at baseball, obviously, if he's committed to Texas. But the fact that he's even better in football, like, that's insane. So he decommitted from the Longhorns baseball program in 2024 to pursue, obviously, football opportunities and ultimately decided to go the football route and is now committed to play for the TCU Horned Frogs right down the road in Fort Worth. So one of my favorite players in the Austin
The Ed
region.
Hive runs
Ed Small.
strong in
Yep.
the DCTF offices.
Yeah. Powers and I talked about him last week on Heart and Hustle, and I was like, Ed Small, but he ain't so small. Big.
But I bet he hates
I bet
that
he hates
joke.
that too. I bet
Ed,
he-
I would like to
I bet he hears it all
apologize
the time.
on behalf of our program.
I bet he hears it all the time. It's really funny.
Not so small.
Ed, I
for
have
big
a-
guy like yourself.
I have a last name that people make fun of too, man.
Yo, literally.
I get it.
Literally. But it's even better that, like, he's not small, right? He's a force. So then you can be like, oh, well, I'm not small. It would be bad if he was small.
Yeah, that would be a rough life.
Like,
to
it'd be, yeah, right?
Ed Small, who is small.
Correct. All right, let's go to Austin LBJ and talk about 2026 safety, Yaheem Riley. Powers thinks, I also agree with him, he's definitely one of the top 4A prospects in Texas high school football. A defensive menace, if you will, through 5 games. Riley's been a big part of this defense with 40 tackles, 1 interception on the season. He's 6 foot, 180 pounds, speedy, a really strong tackler with a lot of athletic ability. One of the things I really like about him is his instincts on defense and his adaptability when it comes to reading the offense that he's facing. He's got offers from Arizona State, Baylor, Houston, North Texas, and more. So keep your eye on him. He is a junior. 2026 safety Raheem Riley out of Austin, LBJ. Definitely one to keep your eye on here in the next 2 years or so. All right, let's go to Columbus now. Talk about two players from,
2 times.
2 times. We'll talk about quarterback Adam Schobel and athlete Grayson Rigdon. I had to talk about Grayson Rigdon.
We
Can't
tend to do
not.
that here.
Cannot talk about. Both 2025 athletes in their senior year. We'll talk about Adam Schobel first. I got to interview Adam Schobel.
Yeah, you wrote the cover boy story.
He was our
in
3A cover boy in the magazine,
in
the
the
summer
magazine.
magazine this year. So I got to talk to Adam Schobel and then, of course, his father / head coach, Matt Schobel.
You can read Mallory's story now by going to texasfootball.com and buying the magazine. It is now available to purchase online. So if you missed yours, you can go ahead and go back to texasfootball.com courtesy of VNA Moreno, who set that up for us. So, yeah, how about that? Anyway,
That rocks. That's awesome.
that is what you
What
call
a plug. That's
plug.
a plug.
Yeah.
That was very smooth transition.
It's
Smooth.
almost like I've done this once or twice.
God,
Right.
she's so good.
Very, very
It's okay. I'll miss here in a second and like stutter over something.
Yo, yeah. That's me all the time. Don't worry.
She's so good.
But yeah, buy the magazine so you can read our 3A cover boy, my 3A cover boy story. Really enjoyed talking to that family too. Just a really fun group of people to talk to. Very sweet, very nice.
Matt Schobel sent me
They
a
are awesome.
hat, a sick Columbus rope hat.
Oh, nice.
I should have worn it.
When was that? Last year?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
because
super
he was
cool.
wearing it on the. It was the year after they had made it to state, or no, they got knocked out. Anyway, he was at the state championships. We interviewed him on Bally Sports Southwest, and Aaron and I were like, "Yo, that hat is sick. Where do we get some?" So he he mailed
right.
2 of them up there, and he said this was for me and Aaron.
Yeah,
so
that's
Schobel,
right.
good dude.
Good dude. But yeah, so funny enough, when I interviewed him, he was committed to Baylor at the time. 5 days after, he flipped to to Oklahoma State.
Mallory saw it and was like, "Oh man, I'm gonna have to change my story."
Well, I had Baylor commit in there, but the thing I've talked about with Powers before is that when I interviewed him and he was talking about going to Baylor and stuff, I could just, I don't know, I just felt like
there was hesitation.
There was not necessarily hesitation because I don't want to make it seem like he was like, oh, you know, but it was just kind of like, is this the right fit for him? You know, sure enough, he flipped to Oklahoma State, which would have been great for him too. I think he would have fit really well into that program as well under Mike Gundy. But just a couple of weeks ago, we found out he flipped to TCU, which is that's where he belongs.
Oh my God. Adam Schobel and Ed Small.
I know.
Let's go.
You should watch Hard and Hustle because we talked about both of them last week.
I missed
TCU. Yeah. But yeah, both of them are going to be playing at TCU. Obviously, that's where he fits. His dad played at TCU. His uncle played at TCU. His cousin, who is a tight end defensive end, John Schobel.
They have a
Columbus,
tendency to take over towns.
Who is also committed to TCU. So this whole clan is all going to TCU. One of the things about Adam Schobel, I think he's got NFL pedigree, obviously, because his uncle and his dad played in the NFL. Really, really good careers in the NFL. He's a gunslinger. An absolutely dynamic quarterback who's got tremendous upside. I don't think he's even come close to hitting his ceiling.
No.
He's got a good frame, 6'4 and a half, 190. Once he gets in those strength and conditioning programs at TCU, I think he's going to really bulk up. And he's thrown for almost and about 2,500 yards every single season that he's started on varsity. And he started as a freshman on varsity. So keep your eye on Adam Schobel if you haven't already. He is electric. And then staying in Columbus, we'll talk about athlete Grayson Rigdon. I think most people watching the show know who Grayson Rigdon is, but if you don't, he's the insane star athlete at Columbus High School who, of course, played six-man ball for the first 3 seasons of his career. Started off at Strawn and
won
2 state championships with Strawn, and then one at Benjamin.
No, backwards.
Oh, okay.
Strawn freshman year, transferred to Benjamin,
and then won 2
2
at Benjamin. I couldn't remember if I had it backwards or whatever. But he's a 3-time state champion, 3-time six-man player of the year. I think he's a 4-time state championship MVP because he won offensive, defensive. I think it's Strawn, his freshman year. And now he is currently 51-0 in his high school career. He has not lost a high school game yet.
Insane.
Him specifically has not lost a high school game, which is crazy.
That if he could finish his high school career with not losing a game, that would be incredibly especially because if he would have stayed in the 6-man realms, there would be a lot of people that recognize that as greatness. There would have been a lot of other people that were like, oh yeah, but he did it in 6-man. Like this was the shut up year of okay, go up to 11-man and do it, and then we'll see. Not even just like he didn't go to a 2A Division II school.
No,
he made the jump
to 3A Division I.
Who is been playing against a ton of 4A players.
Yes,
this whole non-district slate.
Yeah, and that was definitely the real concern. I don't think people really thought that he was gonna be able to prove himself when it came to 11-man ball. Well, through 6 games, he's produced big numbers. 1,168 yards on the ground and 20 touchdowns, and then caught 13 passes for 143 yards and 3 touchdowns in the air. So the athlete is still athleting in Grayson Rigdon.
He tends to do that.
Yes. This season he's picked up quite a few offers, which is super exciting. If you remember that he was committed to Air Force when he was still there at Benjamin, decommitted from Air Force, and now has picked up a couple of other Division I offers from programs like North Texas, Wyoming, Tarleton, and Abilene Christian. And those offers are still rolling, and they're not stopping. Really glad to see that he's succeeding at the 11-man level. He's been a lot of fun to watch for us here at DCTF, and it's good to see him continue that success in 11-man ball. And let's round it all out here with a freshman.
A freshman that just got, hey kid, swim.
Yeah, Pflugerville Weiss 2028 quarterback Jackson Shad. All right, let's talk about it. Jax Brown, the senior quarterback for Pflugerville Weiss, went down in the Pflugerville Weiss scrimmage in August with a season-ending injury. Really sad to hear that.
A 3-year starter? He was
supposed to be like
it wasn't just like the senior that stepped in and like here's your 1 year. Like he was the lifeline of Pflugerville Weiss.
Yep. Well, here in comes freshman quarterback Jackson Shad. He's 14. He can't even drive
Just
right
a
now.
baby.
And he's leading Pflugerville Weiss right now.
Dude, he's incredible.
He's done a remarkable job this season so far, leading a 5-1 Weiss team. Only loss, of course, was to A&M Consolidated, which was a very close loss. We watched that game at home on our couch. Very, very good game. In his debut against McNeil, he threw for 245 yards and 2 touchdowns in a 42-41 double overtime victory. And in his second game as a starter against San Marcos, he completed 13 of 15 passes for 286 yards and 5 touchdowns.
Light work.
Through the air.
Kiddo.
This kid's a freshman. The thing I like about him a lot, he plays with a lot of composure. He is comfortable in the pocket, great pocket presence, and a pretty strong arm to go along with that. Of course, he's going to make mistakes. There are a couple games where he's thrown a couple of interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
Give him a break. He's young. He's a really, really good quarterback
and that's
for
the thing
his
is
age.
you can, if there was a freshman that's like, oh, he's got potential in his arm, but we need to get his strength up. That makes perfect sense.
Mhm.
There are intangibles, and I'm preaching to the choir here, but there are intangibles in football that you cannot teach. And a
Mhm.
calm pocket presence as a 14-year-old
Is huge.
that's a talent. That is a talent that he was born with. That's
Mhm.
that's not something that you can work on. I don't care
No.
how many drills you go up against to get thrown into the first game of the season and
Mhm.
seeing kids that are 300 pounds barreling down your way. If you can remain calm as a 14-year-old,
Yeah. Right.
you can't teach that.
No, you can't teach that. You can't fix that. He's 5'11", 165 pounds. You can fix that. You can give him an extra spaghetti meal once a night and get him up to the
An extra
to the
do you
size
remember
that you
those-
want him to.
Do you remember those little the milk cartons, the
Mhm.
the Borden's milk cartons?
Yeah.
Jackson Shad gets two of
Two
those
of those
at lunch.
every night before bed. But yeah, this kid's got a great upside. I'm really excited to see what he becomes.
Oh, yeah,
there at
and
Pflugerville Weiss under a really strong coaching staff that is good at developing players. So
So
very excited. He's
everybody
got a
at
big
Weiss is
upside.
going, oh yeah,
Yeah.
this is
Well,
what we
I
want.
saw an interview too, and the head coach over there was just kind of like, man, I'm not gonna lie, like I kind of thought that this season was we were gonna be in trouble, you know,
Mhm.
when we saw Jax Brown go down,
Mhm.
and now he's like, all right, never mind,
Blessing
we're
in
good.
disguise.
We're good.
Keep
We're
it rolling.
fine. Keeping it rolling. But yeah, so there you go. There's some players to watch down there in the Austin region. Do we want to do Stonks right now, or do we want to do Hill Country? Producing on the fly here.
Let's roll
Because
into
it
an
doesn't
ad
really
break,
make
and then we'll
sense.
go to the let's
Oh,
do
yeah.
Stonks. We'll do Stonks.
We'll do Stonks. We'll roll
ad
the
break, and then we'll go to Hill
Producing on the
Country.
fly
Does
here.
that sound good, producer? Welcome to Thursday Chaos.
Welcome to
Sounds
Thursday
good
Chaos.
to me.
All right, well, let's get into it. Austin area. Let's talk about some Stonks.
Always try your hand of songs.
This is a weird show. It's just throwing my brain
It
off.
went to me.
It's a strange show. It's
That's
weird.
the best way that anybody could ever
What?
describe this show.
It is weird. I'm not gonna lie.
After the Stonks was done, it cut to me.
It's weird girls talking about a very niche thing to a bunch
Have you
of
seen the freshman quarterback at Pflugerville Weiss?
to a bunch
Jackson
of people
Shad?
that we call our favorite dorks. Like, what did you expect? Weird is tattooed
know.
across my
It's-
forehead at this
yeah.
point.
Yeah, it's
Speaking of weird, Stonks.
Stonks. All right, Ashley. Stonks up or down on health? Is the 512 bitten by the injury bug permanently this season?
Health edition.
Health edition.
You know me, the pillar of all things health.
Yep.
I think there are programs that I'm concerned about
Yeah.
being bitten by the injury bug, or programs that have one player that if they go down, does that
It might
completely
be-
tank everything. For
Mhm.
instance, Wimberley, I
was about
think,
to
is
say.
very
Mhm.
badly bit by the injury bug. I would say that I think Liberty Hill has had a couple of injuries. And then there are teams like I think what we I don't think a team like Columbus has to worry all that much. Like, I think if
They got
if
plenty of weapons, I think.
Schobel or Rigdon or whoever went down, would it be great? No. Would it be detrimental? No. Do I think a team like Austin Anderson, if they lose Ed Small, is completely making their whole plan out of something else? Yes. So I think that there are a couple of teams in the Austin area that have such finite resources and they're like very top heavy that if those players start going down, but the big one that concerns me is Wimberley. Yeah. Wimberley has to get fully healthy.
Yeah, they can't lose Cody Stover.
No.
Like that
Oh my gosh, no, absolutely
that's
not.
detrimental.
Yeah.
You know, they're already, like you said, they've already been bitten by the injury bug on the lines. If they're losing Cody Stover, I mean, it's gonna be a tough season to finish out.
And we just talked about Jackson Shad stepping up. Right. That was another team. We had very high hopes for Rouse going in, and when we heard that Jax Brown was down, we were like, Weiss, I'm sorry, yeah. It was like, oh goodness, what do we do now? You know?
And we could be totally wrong. You know, like Cody Stover could go down and they might have this freshman backup quarterback that's the next sensation.
But it seemed like out of any area across the state that in the early aughts of the season, we were talking about, oh man, injury, injury. It seemed like the Austin area was the one that we were, I think like you could give a little bit of an argument that maybe some of the DFW teams like Cameron Worley going down for Southlake was a big loss. Like there's been a couple of those here and there, but Austin felt like the one where it was
Riley Wormley,
I'm sorry, that it was like, oh, what's happening down there?
Right. No, I completely agree with that. So Stonks down, I guess technically.
I'm hoping that the Stonks go up for those teams, but currently Stonks have been teetering on down.
But maybe they'll go. You never know.
And here with a graph is Mallory Hartley.
Well, cool. All right. There's your Austin Regional breakdown.
What a great transition.
Well, we're not done yet. Before we let you go, we're going to tap into the Hill Country, your hometown. Home region, I guess I should say.
We definitely could do that. Could we hear from our advertisers first?
Well, I was about to
pay the bills.
Say that.
Oh, I got ahead of myself.
I don't even know why I try and produce this show or why I try to host this show. You can host it.
To be fair, your transition was okay, cool.
How was I supposed to transition? Let's hear from our friends, our advertisers, whatever.
Jennifer Potter, Executive Director of Be Well, Texas. Too many people are struggling alone these days, and alcohol and drug deaths are increasing. We started Be Well, Texas to offer high-quality, science-based addiction treatment and recovery services anywhere, even at home. We provide compassionate, caring support, virtually or in person. In many cases, there is no cost for treatment if you don't have insurance. Really. Welcome to Be Well, Texas. We're glad you're here.
Hey DFW residents, get your grocery essentials in minutes, not hours or days, with Wing Drone Delivery. Forget about last-minute trips to the store when you need things like cereal for breakfast before school, medicine for a cold, or snacks for a movie night. Wing's drones get you quick, no-contact delivery in as fast as 15 minutes. Say goodbye to last-minute grocery runs and say hello to more of your valuable time. Sign up today.
All of the components of everyday life, like school, homework, extracurricular activities, as well as time with friends and family. To provide your body with optimal energy, it's important that you shape an athlete's play at every meal. To start, make one third of your
Not true.
Thanks to our sponsors.
I was not saying that about eating well, by the way. I was
No.
talking about a completely different conversation. I just didn't listen to my producer well enough. I apologize, VNA.
Thanks to our sponsors, making sure we have food on the table every single night before we go to bed. Sometimes we don't eat dinner.
Yeah, that does tend to happen.
All right, before we get out of here, we paired up. What?
I don't know.
I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
I think she just needed a good laugh.
Just turned off her mic.
Mallory's going to start fighting people.
I just don't. I can't see her, so I don't know if she's like talking to me or what. Okay. I don't even remember what we're gonna do. Hill Country. Let's talk about the Hill Country region real quick. Don't have players to watch. There's no ranked teams in the Hill Country region, but we wanted to pair that with Austin because honestly, they're right next to each other. Like all these teams, they kind of go hand in hand here. It's kind of like East Texas and Piney Woods. Like they're very close together, and there's a fine line between what's Hill Country and what's Austin. So we figured we did kind of just push the two together in the same episode since we didn't have spotlight games this week. So we'll go ahead and dive right into it. Starting off in 5A Division 1, it's Bernie Champion. In year 2 under Blaine Ellis, who's the former defensive coordinator there at Champion under longtime head coach Keith Kaiser. This is a team that lost a lot last season to big-time college programs. There was a kid that went to Army, kid that went to Texas A&M. So a lot of skill on that team that moved up to the next level. And I think that this is a team that is still trying to find their footing. 3-2 on the season. They're 0-2 in district play. 13 5A Division 1. It's an 8-team district, so the top 4 of these teams will make it to the playoffs. And I don't think that's out of their sights. It's a tough district. You got San Antonio Piper, which obviously is a powerhouse, state ranked. Smithson Valley, they lost to Smithson Valley last week. And then even New Braunfels, I would loop them in there as being one of the better teams in that district. But I don't think that finishing in the top 4 is completely out of their sights. So I definitely still think Bernie Champion is a playoff team. But I don't think that a district championship is reasonable for them this year.
Yeah. Moving on down now to 5A Division 2, it is the Greyhounds of Bernie out of District 13 5A Division 2. And this is an unfamiliar spot to see the Greyhounds when you take a look at the last couple of years. So they're currently sitting at 2-3 on the season, 0-1 in district play. Remember last year they went 10-2, lost in the area round. The year before that they were playing in they were the state runner-up, ended up losing to China Spring in their second of 2 state championships. They're breaking in a new quarterback. It is a sophomore, but it is a Hendricks. So Hank Hendricks, son of Shay Hendricks, head coach, is off to a pretty good start. Over 1,300 yards of passing.
It's like the Show Bowls. There's a lot of Hendricks.
There are, because their senior leader on defense is Hudson Hendricks.
Ah, there you go.
He's averaging 11.6 tackles per game. Okay, he is the lifeblood of this Bernie defense. But with a good defense comes time to give the offense a little bit of growth. But I mean, Hank Hendricks he's looking good so far. I think he needs a couple more weapons on the outside to really be able to showcase his talents. But 16 touchdowns on the year, 1,300 yards in the air. This kid is a budding star there, playing under his dad. Here's the kicker: 13 5A Division 2 is a gruesome district. Alamo Heights. And then Victoria West. Now, here's the interesting thing about there. If you remember back in realignment, Victoria West actually opted to go into this district because the other one that they were going into didn't make a whole lot of sense. This is a tougher district that they tried to get into, but they didn't want to have to drive all the way out east to do it. Victoria West has looked very good so far. Both Alamo Heights and Victoria West at 6-0 and 2-0 in district play.
They play this week, or I guess, well, we're pre-recording this. This messes my mind up.
That's fair.
This was they are playing this week when we are recording it in week 7.
But that's a Victoria West opted to go into a tougher district, so that way it made more sense geographically and all of that stuff. Regionally, it made more sense. But Bernie is one of those teams that's going to be right there on the cusp. If they can start getting that offense gelling really well, that I think they can. I think that they can pick this season back up. But against tough opponents, the defense has also had times of flashing not necessarily great things. But a little bit of a down year. Don't throw dirt completely on the Greyhounds yet.
Moving on down to 4A Division 2, it's Bandera. who are the Bulldogs? Bandera Bulldogs.
Shout out Brady Keene.
Yeah, basketball coach there, right?
Head basketball coach.
Yeah, good. One of our good friends there, North Texas alum. Coming off a really good season, probably one of the best seasons that they've had in a very long time. They went 10-2 last season, and this is also a team that went 0-9 in 2020, so a couple of years ago. To turn it around that quickly is impressive. And last year they won their first outright district championship and first playoff game since 2007. So a program that was definitely in the right direction. They're 4-2 right now, but they're only a couple points away from being 6-0. They lost to Lytle by 3.
A good Lytle squad.
A good Lytle squad. And then San Antonio Cole, which is also pretty good, by 6. So they're 9 points away from being 6-0 right now and possibly state ranked. They start district play this week against Pearsall. I almost said that right. And have a real chance at winning their district, I think. Divine is 5-1 in this district. That's probably going to be their toughest opponent in 4A Division II. But really, they have a great chance at grabbing another district title if they can beat Divine here in a couple weeks. I think it could be theirs.
Growing up down there, that's crazy to hear about Bandera being like a legit contender.
A district contender. Yeah, right. No kidding.
But they're doing great work.
Yeah.
Moving on now to 3A Division I. It is the Llano Yellow Jackets. Sting 'em. Head coach Matt Green has been the complete game changer for this Llano program. They missed the playoffs last year for the first time since 2013. They went 5-5. It was a down year. Here's part of the reason why. If you remember, Briggs Green, the son of Matt Green, did get hurt in the middle of the season, and in comes Luke Davis, who was a true freshman. And he did as well as he could, but with some other key components missing and all of that, it didn't end up shaping out to be the best season. Now, Luke Davis has taken big steps forward in his sophomore year, which pays dividends for the years to come as well. He's taken big steps forward. A big part of that is his senior target, RJ Copeland. He has continued to be a weapon on the outside. And then a senior running back, he also plays outside linebacker, but Trey Moat is averaging 113 yards on the ground. So they've really started to get more of back to that Llano balanced attack where you've got RJ Copeland on the outside as a weapon. Tate Morgan has really filled the holes up in the run game. And the defense is only giving up 16 points per game through 6 games this season. They haven't had their bye week yet. But here's the one to circle on your calendar. That would be October 25th. They are going up against the Rohawks of University City Randall.
That is a huge week for a lot of these teams.
Yeah, it's a
October
huge week.
October 25th is definitely one to keep circled on everybody's calendar. That's a big week for high school football.
But the Rohawks are off to an incredible start, a 6-0 start, 1-0 in district play. They have wins over aforementioned Divine, Blanco, Dilley, San Antonio Lanier, Cole, Ingram. So that will be the one that all but assuredly constitute who is going to win that District 13 3A Division 1. So sting 'em, go Jackets.
You can be biased.
I can be biased on that one. Sting 'em.
All right, let's round it all out. Jumping down to 2A Division 1, it's the Johnson City Eagles. They've had a winning record since I don't remember what I put down for that.
The math is mathing.
Yeah. Oh, okay. They've had a winning record since 2021. That's what it was. And are coming off an appearance in the area round last season. So really strong season for them last year. They met Refugio in an area round, and when teams meet Refugio in the playoffs, it typically doesn't end up well.
For anybody but Refugio.
For anyone but Refugio. So they ended up playing in the area round. They lost, and they started off the season this year 2-0, but have dropped 3 straight. They start district play this week, and starting district play, I feel like can be kind of like the starting over point for a lot of these teams. I think they can kind of get into a different mindset when it comes to district play. They can scratch off the non-district play and be like, okay, that's over. Let's come into the district play and kind of dominate, right? 14 2A Division 1 isn't super easy. Got Mason, Thorndale, Hollins look really good. They're 4-1 right now. but you never know. I mean, they could absolutely come out of this and go to the playoffs. Maybe not win the district. I think that's probably Mason's title, I would assume. They're number 9. I mean, they're state, right? They're number 9 in 2A Division 1. But they could absolutely make some noise and possibly, make a run in the playoffs.
Yeah, if you're anywhere down in the Hill Country area, I would go to that Mason-Johnson City game. I think that one's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that could definitely be for the district title there, or Thorndale. I don't know. There's a lot of good teams in that district, but Johnson City definitely one to keep your eye on. All right, do you have anything else for the Hill Country?
I do not.
Or Austin region, or anything that we have talked about today, which is a lot. It's already 3:45 on Thursday. You good?
I'm good. Are you good? That's
I think I'm good. I'm exhausted. I can tell you that. I'm very tired. Well, all right. That's going to do it for us. Thanks for tuning in to Women Talking Football. Again, this is pre-recorded. We pre-recorded this the week prior, but happy week 8 of the Texas high school football season. Thanks to Miss Ann Parker Coleman, sports reporter and anchor down there at KVUE. For VNA Moreno, Ashley Pickle, I'm Mallory Hartley. We will see you guys next Wednesday for week 9 of the Texas high school football season at noon.